Hello, friend. Have you ever experienced a setback? I know I have. And setbacks are a natural part of life, but how we respond to them is what matters. My name is Angie. Welcome to my channel, Quiet Confident Woman. My passion is truly building confidence in women, especially introverted women, and supporting you in building a life and a business around what brings you joy. If you love what you hear, make sure to subscribe. And if you don't already get emails from me, you definitely are going to wanna. The link is in the notes below. Setbacks create resilience and adaptability. They're an opportunity for learning and growth. And there's no such thing really as failure. You either succeed or you learn. Sometimes our setbacks are not as bad as they appear because we go into it with a fixed mindset. Say we have something that we desire and the outcome is going to be Z. And we have different things that we've plotted along the way. We have A, B, C, etc. And that's the way we want it to all flow and then eventually look at the end. And then we get to C and it does not look the way that we wanted it to. And it can be catastrophic. At least it feels that way. Because we know that okay, if C doesn't look exactly correct, then D is not going to look exactly correct. And then it throws everything out the window and we have to go back to square one. And just your brain does a circle and just is overwhelmed and just down the rabbit hole. What if we went into it with a growth mindset? One where, okay, we know what we want Z to be, and we even know what we want A, B, and C, or thereabouts want it to be. But if we get to C and it doesn't turn out exactly the way we wanted it to, what if instead we're like, okay, that is not what God planned. He sees the bigger picture. I am just the one steering this ship. So we're just going to pivot. We're going to move to a different direction. We're going to go down a different path or just navigate a little bit differently than what we were thinking and keep moving forward. When we're able to lean into that growth mindset, nothing has to be exact. And it's okay if something is not perfect and a little out of the ordinary, because we know that in the end, that is what matters. How you get there, not so much. So lean into that growth mindset versus that fixed mindset. Now, during a setback, you may find an opportunity to adjust your work-life balance. Perhaps you are in a season that you need to pour into your work a little bit more. Maybe you got a promotion and that requires learning some new skills, so you're not able to be at home with your family as much or do as many things to fill your cup as what you once would, but you know that it is just a season and that is okay. So adjust that and know that balance is it makes us feel like it has to be perfect. Like family and work have to be exactly the same. And really, it's shooting for harmony. There's seasons that are going to be more abundant with family time, and there's seasons that are going to be more abundant with work. And so if you have a setback that has you pouring into work more, then do that. If you have a setback where you end up pouring into your family or your children or yourself more than what you typically do, and it's not something that you desire, maybe like losing a job or something like that unexpectedly, step into that. Step into having that extra time with those you love. Step into being able to pour into yourselves during that season, because again, that season will change. And then once you move to the next season, you either have figured out all of the things that you need to know with this promotion, or you have found a new job and you're moving into the next season. Take the things that you have learned with that setback, whether it's things that you're like, oh, I do love doing this with my family more frequently. I'm going to make that a priority. Or maybe you like certain parts of your career that you are like, yeah, I really want to keep this and I want to make it work. Pull those things that you liked and you learned from your setback, move them into the next season, and the things that you disliked, let it go. If you find yourself in a repeating setback, meaning, okay, this always happens, what is going on? There is some kind of lesson that you need to learn within there that it keeps being brought up. Maybe it's a new system that you need to create, just something that you need to learn. I remember when I was younger, my mom would tell me every year around my birthday, I would always get sick. And my birthday is the beginning of October. And what happens prior to that? You head off to school. You're around all these other germs. You have more stress. You get less sleep. Like your schedule's altered. And probably by the time October rolled around, it caught up with me and I was sick. So one of the things that I did not learn at that point in time because I was younger was if I could somehow adjust those things. Maybe it was I took vitamin C, or I made sure I had downtime, or I made sure I went to bed on time, or I did some self-care in order to navigate into that different season better. That would have potentially prevented me from getting sick every single October. So, what repeating setbacks do you have in your life that you are able to look at and be like, okay, this happens every soccer season, or this happens frequently, or I've been in this season before? What do I need to learn from this in order to not have it repeat itself all over again in the future? We are all human and we never want to experience a setback. So, what if we could avoid it or at least lessen the blow of a setback a little bit? What if before you set off on a new endeavor or a new adventure or something just different, we looked ahead a little bit and thought to ourselves, what are some things that I can do ahead of time to prevent myself going off track? Or what are some things that may happen along the way? And what will be my mindset at that point in time? Or what are some things that I can do if that does happen to get me back on track quicker? So let me give you an example. When we were growing up, I came from a family with 4 kids and 2 parents, and we would take a road trip to North Carolina and Tennessee like once a year. And when we did this, as you could imagine, there could be setbacks. So ahead of time, what are some things that could happen that we can anticipate ahead of time and either avoid completely or adjust to? So 2 of the things that I thought of were the car breaking down. Like that could definitely happen. And then kids constantly saying, "Are we there yet?" And that did definitely happen for sure. So, what are some things that can be done to avoid or maybe lessen the catastrophic effects of those things happening? One, we can make sure for the car that the oil is changed, the tires look good. Maybe you bring it to a mechanic and have them do a once over, make sure nothing out of the ordinary is glaring at them. And then maybe if all of that checks out, we obviously can't we can't predict the future. We don't know what's going to happen. But if something does happen that the car needs to be serviced when we are on a trip, perhaps saving some money to utilize for that expense, if it does happen along the way, will lessen the pain and the heartache of having to fork out hundreds of dollars to have the car fixed that was already set aside. And if it's not used, it can just be put into the next vacation or used for something else that we wanted it for. So that's an example of doing like just that preemptive work, just thinking ahead. What can we do to eliminate or lessen us with that setback? And then for the kids, what toys or what car games can be brought, or if somebody gets sick along the way, do we have some paper towels and a bag and wet wipes or whatever that we can bring along the way? Are there certain stops that we can make in order to let the kids get their wiggles out, and that we can have a picnic lunch at a park and they can play on the swing set? And there's so many different things that we could look at to navigate any setbacks that we would have, or to prevent them altogether. Now, be careful with this, because this is not to say let's think of all of the bad things that can happen before we even start out on the journey of whatever this new endeavor is. Because when we do that, it is a form of procrastination, which doesn't allow us to take off and do the thing that we feel we need to be doing. So, could lightning strike the vehicle? Yeah. Is it really probable that it's going to happen? No. So, we aren't going to worry about that. So, think about the things that really could derail you. If you are starting a business adventure, could people come up to you and say, "Oh my gosh, why are you doing that?" and being all negative? Absolutely. What are you going to do when that happens? Because I guarantee that's going to happen. So, what is going to be your mindset? What is going to be your response? How are you going to reply to that and allow you to keep moving forward? So, just doing a little planning of avoiding those setbacks, or just adjusting when they happen, can be super beneficial. And finally, during a setback, I want you to look at the wins. What are the things that you have gratitude for? Perhaps, like I said, you're in a season of a promotion and you're learning some new skills. Are you grateful for the opportunity to enhance yourself and be, if you were to go to a different career or a different job in the future, these are skills that you would have that you can take with you. Maybe you're in a season of spending more time with family. Look at the wins and the gratitude that you have with that, and allow the gratitude to pull you forward. So many times, because it's human nature, we look at the negativity. We're like, now I can't be at home as much, or oh my gosh, what are we going to do for finances? But turn and look at the wins that you have and the gratitude, because that is going to lift you up. It's going to change your mindset, and it's going to allow you to look for things to better your circumstance. I hope you now look at setbacks as stepping stones versus roadblocks. It's an opportunity for growth and resilience and adaptability. And know that in the future, when you stumble across a setback, it is a way for you to grow, because there is no such thing as failure. It is either success or learning. I'll see you next time, my friend.